Here are some cars that I built back in the 80s. Every one of them I built in, except for that 1980 Z28. I had bought that brand new 1980. Well, anyway, enjoy this part of my journey. This was a fun time in my life, and hope you enjoy seeing the cars.
Well, hello there, YouTube land. Well, as you can see, we're having a really nice day out here today in the shop. It's supposed to be like 72 degrees. Tomorrow's supposed to be like around 75, so maybe tomorrow I'll get this thing finally in color. And we'll see. And right now I've got it taped off the best I can. I decided on the top up here, I'm just going to go ahead and scrape the paint off instead of trying to tape that all off there. It's just too tedious. If I take the sides of it off and put a little plug in here for the truss rod so it doesn't get all plugged up full of paint. I had to do a little bit of sanding on the headstock, so I'll have to re-primer that a little bit. Now that green I'm going to paint it calls for a black base coat. So when I bought this, I thought it was primer, but it's not. It's actually paint. But so far it seems to be working out pretty good. So we're going to find out here. Like anything, especially enamel, when you're using enamels, you want to make sure it's shook up really, really good. You don't want any mishaps in your paint. Okay, continuing on here. I'm going to start up here at the headstock. Like I always say, I always like to try starting it off a little bit before spraying anything. So we're going to go ahead and spray this headstock down a little bit. When I come around on the other side of the table, I'll spray the other side of that. I usually always try to just put a thin coat on when you first start. You're really not trying to cover anything. You're just adding what we call a tack coat. And what that does is it'll make everything nice and sticky for your second and third coats to hang on to. And like any tape-up job, when I used to paint cars or whatever, when you take the tape off, I always did anyway, always have to go back over and do some touch-ups. And it's just the way things go. Just like anything you do in life, it's just taking your time. And not trying to rush anything. So right now we're going to let that set for a few seconds. Kind of let it tack up a little bit. When I used to paint cars, you put a tack coat on, let it set for about 15-20 minutes, come back over it. This one, I'm not going to wait that long. I'm just looking at it, and when it gets splotchy enough, and it's time I can add a second coat of this stuff. Then after I get my third and final coat on it, and then I'm going to let it set probably all night. Do a real light sanding over it, over the whole entire guitar, and we're going to start painting this thing green. And hopefully that'll happen tomorrow. So far, this paint takes a while for it to cure out all the way. Like I said, you don't want to rush it. You don't have to rush it. Any guitar build, there's no need to put yourself on a deadline. I learned my lesson on deadlines. I injured myself really bad because I let a customer pressure me into getting a guitar I was custom making for them. I let him pressure me into getting it done quicker than I wanted to, and wound up injuring myself and wound up having to take my time anyway. So since then, I don't let anybody pressure me, and I don't let myself pressure me trying to get stuff done anymore. Not worth it. What's that? What kind of injury did I have? Do you really want to know? If you've been watching my videos, you know, a lot of you know that I live in pain. I have Alzheimer's and all that stuff. My doctor had me on morphine at the time. I was doing that guitar, and I thought I was invincible. Well, I turned out not to be so invincible. I wound up running my hand through a router, and I almost cut my 2 fingers off. I thought my guitar playing days were done. So after that incident, I decided there ain't nobody for no amount of money going to rush me to do a job. And even myself. The word of the wise, take your time, enjoy what you're doing, and it will get done eventually. I've had a long wait on this because of the weather here. And it's been sitting in my room. I've been daydreaming about it and stuff, and can hardly wait for it to get done. Actually, that second coat looks pretty doggone good. I think I'm just going to leave it for 2 coats and leave it that. No need to overdo it. So anyway, there she is. Again, this is Rust-Oleum flat protective enamel that I'm using, and the green I'm putting on there is also enamel, so it ought to work and be compatible. And what's for the future of this? After it's green, I'll pull all the tape off of it. Then we'll do some scraping and all that. And then I got a headstock design I'm going to do with some copper up here. And then once that's all done, then we'll clean her up, polish it up, do some color sanding on it if need be. And then start putting it together. And oh yeah, I'll be making a antler nut for it. I don't use bone, I use antler. And in fact, I can show that to you right now. Here are some pieces of antler that I use. This is what I got left. I had a couple of racks of these that my son had gotten me. And pretty cool stuff to use for making nuts and saddles for guitars. But anyway, we'll call it off for now, and I'll bring you back in when I get more. Talk at you later. Bye now. All right, here we are today. We're getting ready to put some paint on this thing, finally. What I'm doing right now, I'm just going over this with some lightly sanding this top down just a little bit, just to help knock off some of the dust that's settled in it overnight. Not really trying to do any color sanding or any of that. I'm not even going to remove the tape on it here. All I'm doing is just knocking that down where it's still smooth. That's all I'm doing. It's a touchy-feely kind of thing. The final sanding will be after the final paint is on. Well, I didn't think this day was ever going to come, and I was going to get to put some paint on this thing. I'll tell you what, if you get a chance, next time you're at Harbor Freight, or anywhere actually, you ought to pick you up some of these yellow safety glasses. Man, I'll tell you what, it sure makes it a whole lot easier to see things. That's feeling pretty good already. I try to sand in one direction. I don't go this way. I try to go with the grain of the woods. And like I said, right now all I'm after is getting things kind of knock the dust off of it. Things get kind of dusty out here in the shop, and I imagine I'm going to have to do some color sanding and buffing by the time it's all said and done anyway. As you sand, if you listen, you can hear the wood, you can hear your sanding area change as you go. And again, I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum color shift. Same thing, you want to make sure you shake it up really, really well. Need to find another. Kind of go over this a little bit. My tack rag. Black covered really good on this. I was really quite pleased with it. I was going to just leave it black and clear coat it, but my wife said, no, you're not. So anyway. On these rattle cans, if your cans aren't rattling, you need to bang it on the table or something until they rattle. So if it ain't rattling, it ain't mixing. My primer yesterday, the rattle ball in it was stuck, and I had to beat it on the table until it became unstuck. And believe me, you'll find the difference if you don't unstick them. You'll either get all the clear or all the paint out, then the clear, and then you're in trouble. And again, I like to spray it in the air a little bit, get that going. And what I like to do is I'm just going to dust this. Again, it's going to be my tack coat. We're just going to come up here. We're not going to get down here. I rarely ever get down there anyway. I'm going to start right here. And here it goes. Again, I'm not trying to cover it. I'm just trying to put a tack coat on there. You want to overlap your paint as you go. Yeah, see, I got too close to it on this side. I already got a sag going on. This stuff is really, really thin. That's why I chose to try to paint it flat instead of standing up on my stand that I usually use to paint the cars.
Yeah, you got a sag over here too.
See that on the side? So what I'll do is let that set up for a little while, and I'll come back and sand them sags out. And all right, well, there's the first coat. I'll bring it back in and get a little further with it. All right, here it is with 3 coats. So that collar shift on there. It's still wet, still drying, so it's going to change a lot by the time it dries all the way. That's what it kind of sort of looks like at the moment. And I'm going to let this dry. It took a whole can to do the sides and the top. So I'm going to let it dry really good, and I'm going to flip it over. What I did, I made me this little stand here. These go inside where the humbuckers go. This will hold the guitar upside down for me. And then we'll paint the back. Hopefully I can do that later on today. We'll see how it goes, and I'll talk at you later. Bye now. All right, got the front pretty well done. Like I said, I ran out of paint doing the front. Probably going to run out doing the back. I'm just finishing up the finish sanding on the primer right now. And we're going to get rid of, find my other can here. Got some goobers going on here. I mentioned a little earlier in the other part of the video here, I used a masking tape trick to get the sags out. Sags or runs, you can take a little piece of masking tape and you stick it right on the sag or the run, and you pull that right off, and then you just spray over it. Because we're going to have to color sand it anyway, so if it's a little bit rough, it ain't going to hurt nothing. Let me look this over one more time before I go spraying. I think it'll be alright. This paint is almost like water, and I think they did that because they got to get those metallics to spray through the nozzle. So you have to use a lot of caution in spraying it. Again, I chose to spray it laying down flat instead of hanging it straight up and down. It'll just save you a lot of headaches from sags and runs and everything else. Make sure you shake your paint up real good. You hear that rattle in that can? That's a good thing. I really debated on pulling the tape and spraying over the bindings and everything, then scrape the bindings back. I think this is going to be my best bet here. And again, I shoot some in the air there just to get it going. I'm start up here. And again, all we're doing is spraying on a tack coat. And I found, because of the other side, faster is better. What I'm doing is touching up some of the sides again. I ran out of paint. Same thing on this side. Just a quick squirt. I can already tell I'm going to have to do some color sanding, but it's drying pretty level. Letting that stand there for a little bit. I'll bring it back in when I get her all done. Oh, here's the back side. I've got one more coat of paint to put on it. And I'm going to let it set and dry for a day or two, and then we're going to start color sanding it. I'll probably, in a little bit here, I'll probably start pulling tape once I can touch it again. I got some sag problems going on with it, but we'll fix it. But anyway, there it is. You can kind of sort of see some of that green on the sides there. Looks copper on top, but once you flip it around, you'll see that it turns green. It's going to be pretty cool, I think. Be something different. I don't own a guitar like this. And so it'll be fun. Alrighty, I'll bring you back in when I get more. Probably the next thing I'll bring you in on will be on another video of me after I've removed the tape and did some color sanding and buffing, and I get it that far, then we'll start putting this thing together, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, we'll see what happens. Bye now.